Hey everyone, I'm working on a Project Life spread, and since I never do process videos, I decided I would come on and just do one while I'm working on this. I'm working on week 27, which is July 1st through the 7th, so it's my first spread in the second album for 2024. And we went on a trip to Lake Tahoe. So I've pulled together, I'm going to do a large photo front and back of Lake Tahoe, and then we drove around the lake, so I have that photo. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute. I'll work on this last. And then I have pulled together, I'm using the July Stories by the Month kit. And by the way, my desk is completely messy. That's how I am. When I scrapbook, everything is a mess. But I've kind of laid out my photos that I want to use. I've got a few that I need to cut out still. And I just printed my journaling for here. And I printed out digitally this card. But I got rid of the stars, so I can use that in the spread somewhere. I have, let's see, I have a postcard that I need to include somehow. This is from, Kevin and I mailed it to ourselves from Lake Tahoe. And then I have some stickers from the trip and business cards. And then I also pulled some papers that match the kit. So I tried to match up the colors of the kit and pull out some papers that I can use to kind of back up some of the photos. And I'm really lucky because all the stickers that I got match the colors of the kit. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm happy about that. So that's my starting point. I'm going to put you on fast forward and just work on this spread. And hopefully I don't think I am in frame for everything. Yeah, well, I'll work on one side at a time. So here I'm just kind of organizing myself, and then I'm going to start with my journaling cards. First, I cut apart one of the journaling cards from the stripe card that I printed out, and I'm printing these on matte presentation paper. For the journaling cards this time, I'm using the die cuts that came in the July Stories by the Month. There's one that says these words, and then I think there's two that say this story. And before I printed out the journaling cards, I just measured how tall those die cuts were so that my words could fit without overlapping with those die cuts. The next thing I'm going to do is move on to cutting out my extra photos that I have. And I'll start on that in just a second. And the little fireworks square photos are 1.25 inch photos, and then they have a 0.25 inch background. And so the total is 1.5, and then I back those up with paper that coordinates with the kit, and those total come out to 1.75 inch. So there's like 3 layers basically. There's the photo, the matte background, and then the colored background, and then that fits within the squares. So here you can see I'm cutting apart. You can kind of see it's a little bit off frame. I'm cutting out the photos into individual squares. And I actually like using metal die cuts for those because then everything is exact size. I just like the way that it looks better. Even though it's square, I could cut it out on the trimmer. It's just easier to do it this way for me. It takes a little bit more time. And you can see on the bottom photo, I cut out that picture of a lime because we're on lime scooters. So I just wanted to add something to fill in that empty space between the two horizontal photos. So now I'm starting on cutting out the squares to map my photos. And I basically just picked colors that matched the stripe card in the kit because I wanted to pull all of the colors of the kit into this one card. And you can see I cut that one wrong, so I have to recut. I like these 4x6 this month looks like cards, and usually I've been covering up the middle part that actually says like July looks like this. I just feel like since I have multiple layers on the other photos, it looks kind of flat, and so I like having something in there. And I'm really lucky that the circle sticker just happened to fit in there and be the right colors for this kit. I decided to do a dark blue, a light blue, a teal, and then 2 red squares since it's not an even number of photos. I did 2 red ones. There's a lot of red in this kit. That Tim Holtz trimmer is a little bit hard to see where you're actually cutting, so it takes me a little bit of time to make sure I'm cutting this right. And then I want to make sure that I cover up that July looks like, so I'm trying to put together a background, like a little stripe background. I know I want a stripe to kind of tie everything together, but I wasn't sure if I was going to use that stripe card behind that photo, that Lake Tahoe sticker. And so I decided to just keep working on the rest of the photos while I make a decision. I do that a lot of times where I'll put something aside if I'm not sure and work on something else. These little 4x6 fireworks photos, it's fun to use this card when you have a lot of different photos that you want to include. So you can add just a lot of extra photos. And in case you can't tell, I'm kind of a perfectionist. I like everything to be exact. So it takes me a little bit longer to do things, to get through creating these pages. And then once again, I'm looking at that striped card, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to use it or not. I think I finally decided right there that I would, and I'm going to use this star vellum behind that sticker that I have on the other page, so I end up cutting that in half, and I use half of it here. And I really liked this bring on the boom sentiment, so I'm adding an eyelet here, and then I'm going to end up adding some twine and a little metal tag that says 4. So here I'm looking at different twine. I have a red, white, and blue, and then I just like the red and white, and it was a lot thinner, so I went with that. And it takes me a minute to get this thing tied the way that I want. I kind of struggle with this one. And it's a little bit off camera, but I'm tying it into a knot. At first I tie it into a bow because I was thinking maybe I wanted a bow, but then I didn't like that, so I took that out and just left it like that. And then here I'm looking for that number 4 token. These are the number tokens from Tim Holtz. And I looked through everything I had here and did not have a number 4, so I had to go open a new package and find one. So here you can see I opened the new package and I'm just digging through these to find the number 4. And then I have to pull in a jump ring to add it on to the twine. So I think that's what I'm doing right here, is looking for that jump ring. Yeah. And then I'm just opening the jump ring and we'll add it to the token and then attach that to the string. And again, just tying it into a knot. It's off camera, but I end up attaching that token down with a little like mini glue. I think it's a zot, like a little mini glue zot, so that it just stays where I want it to instead of flopping around everywhere. So then I'm ready to move on here, and I have a little here I'm checking to see if I like that star pattern behind the Lake Tahoe sticker. And then I'm moving on to this little photo that I have. It's a little extra one of the gondola ride that we took, and I want to use a stripe card behind it as well. So I'm just cutting out that striped card and I'll use it behind the sticker and then also behind that little extra photo of us on the gondola ride. And these are 1.75 that I'm cutting. I think I mentioned that before. And then here I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to use behind the sticker, and I end up going with this one. So it covers up that July, looks like, word phrase very well, and then the sticker just fits right on top, and I love how that turned out and pulls all of the colors together. And then I'm moving on to that gondola picture. I'm just backing that up. And I put that behind there because I wanted it to pop a little bit from the photo behind. And then I'm adding that lion photo on, like I said, just to fill in that background space a little bit. And then I wanted to add a sticker, and we were on Heavenly Mountain, which is why they say heavenly. And I wanted to use that red circle one, but the red wasn't exactly the right color of red. It was a little too dark, where the kit is a little more orange red. So then I was thinking of using this little sticker with the black on there, but I just didn't like the way it fit. So I end up going back and using that black H sticker. So now I think I'm ready to start putting everything in the pockets, but then I realized that I wanted to look at the die cut chipboard that was included in the kit and add one of those somewhere onto this spread. So I'm just trying out different places where I think it might look good. And I'm looking at the other side, and I decide I'll wait until I get done with the other side and then I'll do that last. So I'm ready to put everything into the pockets on this side. I add this tag on top of the page protector since it's dimensional, and I like to keep everything inside the page protectors relatively flat. That way the contents don't slide out of the pockets. So I'm pulling out some dimensional stickers here, adding it to the back of that tag. And again, struggling with this twine. The knot came undone, I think. And then I like to use tweezers to take off the backing. I think it's easier that way. And then this side is basically done, except for the dimensional chipboard. So I'm just giving you a close-up view here of what it looks like. And then we're ready to move on to the next side. So over here, I'm just using the July calendar. In the top pocket, I have my journaling over here. And then I have two 4x6 photos. One is of me and Kevin having a giant margarita, and one is of us sitting in the giant chair. And then I have the sticker. So here I am getting ready to put that sticker onto that vellum paper. And the vinyl stickers are pretty unforgiving. Once you stick them down, they're stuck. So you want to be really careful about getting them in the right spot before you stick it down. This side comes together pretty quickly. It's just adding the chipboard on the top and then dealing with the title card. So I'm a little bit off frame here, but I am adding the chipboard phrases. I want two on this side and one on the other side. So that's what I'm doing here. And I put them outside the page protectors because, again, it helps to make sure that the pictures inside the pockets are flat and they don't come out of the pocket. And then I'll add them on with red line tape. So I have like a 1/8 inch red line tape that I'm putting on the back. And I really struggled with getting this red line tape off. I used tweezers again, but on the back of the chipboard, it likes to just come off all together, so it takes a minute. So that side is now officially done, and I'm adding the chipboard on this side. I like to put the chipboard between the photo, like kind of overlapping the photo and the border on the photo. So I put everything in the pocket since I'm going to put it on the outside of the page protector. Just figuring out where to put that. And again, struggling with getting that red line tape off. And now with that done, I'm ready to start working on my title card. And I wanted to add a little bit of color here. So I'm looking through the kit and trying to find something that will work underneath that July. And I want to cover up, I think, the sentiment there. And this year I'm using the LA Studio tags that have the week number on there, or labels that have the week number on there. And I hope they come out with another set for next year. But they don't have these in stock right now. And then after I filmed this, I did go back and I put those in order, so it'll be easier for me to pull the next one that I need. So at first I put it below the July to cover up the phrase, but then again I wanted some color on here. So after I checked what this looks like with the spread, I decided I do need to add some color. So I end up peeling that off and putting it in the top corner, and then adding one of these sentiments here. So I decided to use this one, and I'm going to cut it into a banner. That'll fit underneath that title. And I struggle a little bit to make sure that the banner flags are even. And I'm going to add some twine since this is a tag. And I'm using the same twine that I used on the tag on the other side. And now I just need to stamp my dates, and my title card is done. And I'm just using the scrapbook.com black ink. And I'm not really particular about where my dates are on the card, just as long as they're on the card. And now I can put that sticky in the trash, which is so satisfying to have another week done. So this is this side of the spread, all done. And then I'll deal with the inserts. So here I'm just cutting apart the two photos. This was printed on 13 by 19 photo paper. And then I'm going to have that postcard in the middle as well. So for these ones, since they're 13 inches, they don't fit in my trimmer, so I have to trim them. I'm trimming them using this, it's for fabric, so it's actually really sharp roller blade. So I don't need to trim the other sides because those will fit in my trimmer. It's just the long sides that I need to trim this way. So now that I have that done, I will go ahead and trim off the short ends in the trimmer. And it takes me a minute to line everything up because, like I said, with this trimmer it's kind of hard to see where it's actually going to cut. And then I'm just trying to figure out what embellishment I want to use on that photo of the lake. So I'm using the nature story kit here. I'm looking through what I have in there and trying out different things, pulling out different cards. I thought maybe I could cut out that sentiment and just stick it on the top, but I didn't really like that. I was looking at the word phrase stickers, and then I found these chipboard sentiments, and I decided to use one of those underneath the outside goodness. And I found one that fit perfectly in that space. Actually found two of them. And so I just had to decide between the two. And I decided to go with, I can't remember what that says. It's amazing out here or something like that. But I just like how it fits perfectly in that space. I decided not to go with that nature word. And then so here I'm just looking how that looks next to the spread that it's going to be seen next to. And I like how it looks, so I'm going to add some red line tape. And for this one I put directly on the photo instead of on the outside the page protector. No particular reason why. And that side is done. So then I move on to adding my postcard in. And this one was a challenge because this is the first postcard or insert I've added into the 9x12 albums. There are only 3 rings, so the postcard is only 4 inches and it doesn't fit where I can just punch the postcard and put it in the ring, so I have to figure out a way to attach it. So I was thinking maybe I would do a flip up over the photo, but I really wanted it as an insert. So I pull out a couple of different things to try. This is an attacher from Ali Edwards, and then I also pull out this attacher from Color Cast Designs, and both of them are clear, and I really wanted a stripe there. I wanted color, so I didn't go with either one of these, but I was just using it to kind of see what it would look like. So then I decided to print a 4x6. There was a 4x6 striped vellum in the kit, and I ended up printing that out onto presentation paper and using that. But first I'm looking through the kit to see if there's anything I could possibly use as an attacher here. I like the tag, and I was going to use that, but the top part of the tag where it cuts in, I didn't like how that looked, so I didn't end up using that. So I think this is where I'm printing out that 4x6 striped card. And again, since I didn't know what I was going to do, I start looking at what I want to put on top of this photo. So it's another one of those things where I'll come back to it. And so I thought about maybe cutting out that sentiment there. And then I liked the chipboard that said "here for the party," since Lake Tahoe is kind of a party over 4th of July. So my striped card has been printed out, and now I just have to figure out how I want to cut it and attach it. So I decided I'm going to just leave it as 6 inches long and just fold it in half. I cut it down to 1 inch and then fold it in half, so it's the same width as the whole part of the page protector. So I cut it down to 1 inch, and then I'm going to score it in half. And I think it takes me a minute to trim it because I'm trying to figure out exactly where to trim. Yeah, and then I get out my scoreboard and I score it in half. And fold it over, and then I end up sewing it onto the card. So I don't show this on camera, but I actually glue that down onto the postcard where I want it first, and then I run it through the sewing machine just to make sure it sews straight and even. And then I decide I want to have a tab as well. And so I use the rest of that paper and I punch out a tab and sew that on as well. So now I just have to deal with punching the holes. I actually really like how that turned out. Even though the stripe is longer than the card, I think it looks good. And I like that the stripes pull in all the colors and coordinate everything together. So here I'm using that attacher from ColorCast Designs as my template for where to punch the holes. And I'm just marking out the circles here and then getting my power punch, and we'll punch through that. So now the last thing that I have to deal with is just figuring out what to put on that photo of the lake. So I decided I really want something that's going to be colorful. And I end up going with another Lake Tahoe sticker because it has, again, it matches the colors of the kit, so it just kind of brings everything together. So I decided to go for it. And it almost stuck down in the wrong spot. So just placing it on carefully onto the photo, and then I'm done. Just put everything in the pockets and add it into my album. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.